Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
Brett Ciancia joins us now from Pick Six Previews. Brett, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on. It's a busy time of year here with Pick Six Previews. The 2026 magazine is rolling off the printing press, shipping across the country, and we have a lot to break down. So excited to be back on with you guys, talking some BYU, talking Big 12.
Yep. Utah and BYU fans are listening, and they are curious, where do you believe they stack up? Obviously, new coordinator on the defensive side of the ball at BYU, and the Utes with Kyle Whittingham leaving. That's a major change. Morgan taking over. What do you think? Where do they stack up in the Big 12? Who are they? Who's right there with them?
Well, I think it's Texas Tech at the top. They're the defending champions, and I was surprised to see it at Big 12 Media Days. The coaches didn't pick Texas Tech to win it. Maybe that's some off-the-field politicking going on, but in terms of talented rosters, I think you got to start with Texas Tech. We all saw it last year, 11-1 in the regular season. All 11 wins were by double digits. And if you track against the spread kind of stuff, they were unbelievable there, 11-1. The markets couldn't catch up to them, how dominant they were. So very solid season last year. They bring a lot back. They reloaded again from the transfer portal, too, along that defensive line. That's the one question I've got. You send an all-time pass rush to the pros, all four guys drafted. But Joey McGuire claims he brought 4 new draft picks in. So we'll see if that's true along the defensive line. But really talented team. I have them number 1 in the conference, projected to go win it again. But then you've got the 2 Utah teams right there, 2-3. I've got the BYU second, Utah third, both in my top 25. And tell you what, guys, if you want an expanded playoff, you're going to basically get a playoff game there November 7th in Salt Lake City, because I think Utah is going to come in with a nice record, and same with BYU, and that could be for the spot against Texas Tech.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I would have gone with Texas Tech, too, in my mind, in our little unofficial polls that we do. They've done enough, and I saw Hammond go to Rice Eccles and look great as the quarterback. So, and now he's got I know he got injured and didn't get an opportunity to play that much, but he's got more experience in terms of knowledge, and I like him. So, in my mind, the question is, for the rest of the Big 12, and you've already brought up the 2 locals, is who is closing the gap, if they are, if any, and how much are they closing it? Because you've got to close that gap with Texas Tech, and obviously they've got the financial wherewithal to be able to do that. You know, we were told that last year BYU's NIL budget was akin to what Texas Tech paid that defensive line, meaning the defensive line for Texas Tech got all the money that is BYU's entire NIL budget. Oh. So financially, wow. It's going to be hard, and that was reaffirmed to us again this year when we were there in opening day of media availability and practice. So that's going to be hard. But do you think that any of these teams, and you've already mentioned a couple, so I assume you think maybe that BYU and Utah, but speak to that. How can these teams, are they closing the gap between them and what Texas Tech is doing?
Yeah, well, I think both the teams we talked about, BYU and Utah, they played them tough for the first half and then into the second half as well. I was down there in Lubbock for the first matchup last year, the Texas Tech BYU College Game Day game, and BYU was physical right there with them. It was a lot of red zone wins for them to keep the score in check, but there's a lot of work I think they have to do on the skill positions at receiver. That's one spot I have a question about with BYU, but in general, guys, it wasn't that loud of an offseason in terms of big transfer signings or huge recruiting classes, although it was a nice recruiting class. But, in terms of transfers, there wasn't too many headliners. But what stood out to me with BYU, which was impressive, was the retention piece of this, the bringing your returning starters back, keeping them in Provo. I talked to Coach Kalani Sitake, too, in the preseason for the research for my book, and he harped home on that, too. The player retention, the culture, all those buzzwords. But I think it was 12 guys, 12 BYU players that could have gone to the transfer portal. All 12 returned to Provo. I cover all 68 Power 4 teams. That's very rare to see. Usually you have a couple guys, if not a mass exodus at some places. So that was impressive. That speaks to the culture at BYU. You watch them play, the physicality is certainly there in the trenches, the front seven, the offensive line. That's just how BYU and Utah, to that degree, how those programs have been built. So if you want to close the gap, I think you find it with a second-year quarterback, Bear Bachmeier. You usually see a big gain from first year to second year as a Power 4 starter. Remember, he was thrown in as a true freshman with no spring ball. I mean, it was unbelievable that he was able to start with just a few weeks of practice. So I look for a big gain from Bachmeier. You get L.J. Martin back at running back, big offensive line. I like the linebacking core a lot. In fact, I've got them in my national top 15 in terms of units. Love the linebackers. You get Glasgow back, signed arguably the top linebacker in the country with Cade Ulave coming in. So there's a lot of pieces here to like. That's why I've got the number 2. That's why I've got them playing Tech again. And maybe third time's a charm, guys.
Yeah.
I'm curious who you think the fourth team might be and who might beat any of these 3 teams, because even one loss somewhere, one surprise might knock you out of that Big 12 title game as those 3 teams scramble for it. TCU plays all of them. Kansas State, maybe we should look at them getting in the title game because they don't play any of the 3 of them. Arizona's got their quarterback back. Houston's coming off a good season. They're in a talent-rich area. They did win a lot of close games last year. I'm just wondering how you analyze this next tier of teams and who might be in the mix with the other 3.
Yeah, well, every year with the preview magazine, there's always seems to be one spot within one of the conferences where it's a log jam of teams, and it's really hard to pick. And this year in 2026, it was this exact spot, the middle of the Big 12, talking from 4th to maybe even 11th, that jam-packed part of the Big 12. All talented teams, all top 40 caliber, and all could push into the top 25 if a couple wins go their way. But I went TCU, and I think this is going against the curve here. I don't see anybody else with TCU this high. I went with them 4th in the conference, 25th nationally on the top 25 board. And what I like about them, it wasn't too much transfer activity. What it was, it's been high school recruiting. Now, if you take Texas and Oklahoma out of the old Big 12 standings because they're no longer in the league, if you look at current Big 12 teams, TCU is the number 1 high school recruiter in 23, in 24, and in 25. So they have this pipeline of high school talent that they've been recruiting, developing, retaining, and now, it might not be the most proven names out there. It's not the incoming All-American transfers, but they have a solid, talented roster. You look at their receiver core, ton of 4-stars there. The pass rush looks elite. And then we'll see about this quarterback, Jaden Craig. But if I had to pick a team to go 4th, I'm going TCU. And I think they play both BYU and Texas Tech. So that could be a little thorn in the sides there during the season. So look at TCU as a team. It'll be a tough challenge. From there, you can make the case for so many. Real quick, you've got Kansas State in a coaching transition season with Colin Klein coming home. Easiest schedule in the league, though. They miss all 3. They miss Texas Tech, miss BYU, miss Utah. With Arizona, I love Fafita, the quarterback, but they lost their elite pass secondary on defense. All 4 guys were drafted, so I think you're going to see a step back from them. And Houston, this is a team we all differ on. I mean, they were strong last year, 10 wins. 7 games were 1-score wins, though. And I don't think that really tends to flip I think it tends to regress year to year. So too tight of margins for me to really call for a run back of a 10-win season. So there you got it. I got TCU 4th. But really, guys, November 7th, I've got it circled. I know everyone in your state on both sides of the rivalry have that date circled. And if you look at Utah's schedule, the way it plays out, it's very backloaded, meaning I think they're going to be 8-0, and I don't think it's a hot take that they should be 8-0 or at least 7-1 heading into that matchup with BYU. So that's going to have title stakes on the board and should be a ranked matchup and all those good things.
Hear that? That's now Crispy and McCrispy strips meeting Creamy Caesar sauce. Sounds extra crispy. Caesar sauce at McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah, you know your stuff, Brett. You're all over it. I can't disagree with anything that you've been saying. That's the way we forecast it, particularly with Utah. It does look like there's a decent chance, minimally, that they are 7-1 if you just look at the schedule and you look at the talent that they've got coming back. But that's the thing that I like about the Big 12. The other conferences, particularly the 2 at the top, tend to be a little more predictable, and it's only been just less than a handful of years that this conference in its existence with these teams, but we've had surprises since Utah's only been in, this is going into the third season, obviously, with the Pac-12 schools, and it's been surprising to see teams each year, good or bad. Obviously the Devils got on top out of nowhere, and then people weren't picking BYU last year with the quarterback situation, and they still got to the final. So that's what makes this conference interesting, as opposed to, okay, who's Ohio State going to play in the Big Ten final? Is it going to be Indiana, Oregon, maybe Michigan? I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But for this conference, and maybe Texas Tech has established itself and it's no longer predictable, but it does seem like there could be 3 or 4 surprises, even as we follow this conference with everything we have, knowing that we still leave that open, and you just named 4 or 5 teams. At least for me, and get your thought on it, that's what I like about this conference, is that we have these educated guesses, I guess, but we're not really sure, and it's more fun that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at recruiting rankings, a lot of the teams are in a similar, group of rankings there. They're bringing in similar talent. The transfer portal's really been the wild card move, because that's where teams can upgrade or downgrade almost instantly and come out of nowhere in shock. I mean, if you look at 2 examples this year, I didn't talk about them, but Arizona State, again, leveraged the portal. They might have as many as 17 transfer starters on their team. So your guess is as good as mine on how that's going to look. If that was a home run, all these players are hits, and that could be a playoff contending team. But if not, they could go 4-8. So teams like that, Oklahoma State, same deal. Their head coach brings up the entire offense from North Texas that led the country in passing and scoring. Right. So you think that offense is set. You're going to see old shootouts again from them. We'll see about the defense. But, yeah, I agree with you. I'm sitting here in Pennsylvania. I'm deep in Big Ten country. But when I watch the Big 12, I really enjoy it. I mean, you have so many different styles of play. I think it's really entertaining football. The lines are close. The games are always one score. They're late fourth quarter games. The fan passion is certainly there, and I don't think it gets enough credit, too. And, you always hear about the big ones like Ohio State and Penn State, but you watch a game that's in Provo or Salt Lake City, literally the camera is shaking on big plays. Like, you can feel the vibration here from your living room. So I have a lot of respect for the fans across the conference. You don't find that in the ACC. You don't see the camera shaking at Wake Forest or Boston College. I don't know if they even have cameras there. So I love this conference. I'm not just saying it because I'm on your show. I've been saying it all off season for years. It's a very interesting, intriguing conference. That's why I went down to Lubbock last year. I had to go see it live. So I want to get out to more. I got to get out to Utah and see a game. But it's a very entertaining brand of football.
Brett Ciancia joining us, Pick Six Previews. The conference games, especially the rivalry here, everybody's just on edge, at each other's throats and all that trash talk and all that kind of stuff. But here at the start of the season, with a lot of non-conference games, this has been a one-bid league. And we followed the Pac-12 for years. It was always the knock on it. There was a 0-bid league. They were getting 0 teams into the 4-team playoff. Now the Big 12 is getting 1 into the 12-team playoff, and it looks like, the weak sister out of the Power 4. So the question is, can they win either enough total non-conference games that can't be ignored? Can they win a marquee games so they can't be ignored? It doesn't look like there are that many marquee games. Some of them, ASU's biting off a lot going to Texas A&M. That's a massive challenge. Oregon and Oklahoma State. Yikes. That 2 games into the rebuild with a new coach, you're playing the Ducks, so good luck with that. Obviously, BYU Notre Dame, a massive game. Can they clean up on enough of the Utah versus Arkansas where it's just overwhelming? I think the conference has 4 or 5 games against the ACC. I don't think you get a lot of TCU beats North Carolina. But if you win all those games, maybe it adds up to something. What do you think about the ability of the league in September to build a rep and get a second or third team, third seems crazy, into the playoffs?
Yeah, that goes a long way because, perception-wise or whatever metrics they look at, it looks like the SEC and the Big Ten, for whatever reason, they have a head start here. They're getting 2, 3, 4, even 5 the SEC last year teams into the bracket. So for the Big 12 and really the ACC, for that matter, to punch back and earn some more credibility, you got to win those non-conference games. And in BYU's case, you got a big one. You got Notre Dame. This is kind of put up or shut up for the conference, those kind of opportunities. And So Notre Dame's probably the most impressive non-conference game, and it happens to be on BYU's schedule. You mentioned a couple more. I think Baylor plays Auburn. UCF plays, I think, Pittsburgh. And, these are just Power 4 versus Power 4. You want to clean up as many as you can, because at the end of the day, that's all going to be used as firepower for your resume. But I think the best case is, this might sound crazy, but to get 2 teams in the conference, I think you need Tech to pretty much go 12-0. Go into that conference title game looking like a top 5 team in the country, and then have the number 2 team upset them in Dallas, because there you're granted the automatic bid for the team that pulled the upset. So like a BYU, a Utah, a TCU, that'd be an auto bid. And I think a 12-1 Texas Tech would still be a strong enough resume to get in there as a conference runner-up. So it reminds me a little bit of March Madness when you hear about those conference tournaments, the bid stealers, where a team that wouldn't have been in the bracket wins the conference and gets the auto bid. That's kind of, I think, the path for the Big 12 and really the ACC for that matter right now, to ensure that you get 2 in the bracket, because we've seen the committee rule against very capable 2-loss teams from these leagues. I mean, BYU, an example last year, 2 losses, both were to Texas Tech. One was in the postseason, and they were held out of the bracket. Miami 2 years ago, similar deal. I think they went 10-2, had a nice resume. They were kept out. So if you lose a second game, I don't trust the committee to value the Big 12 and the ACC. You got to go win that conference auto bid.
Yeah, I think that's a fact. So I wouldn't trust them either. I'm wondering what you think. So much hype. Everything Deion Sanders does is big news, right? It just doesn't matter because of who he is and his ability as just a magnet for media attention. And last year, the health issue with him was extremely real. There's no question about it. But at the same time, they had a crappy team. And so it was going into his 4th season, and he's had 2 crappy teams and 1 decent season. And so for now, it seems like the pressure's on. What do you make of that situation?
Yeah, well, every year is different with Colorado, and actually in past years, I've written up their first draft of their team preview, and then after spring ball, 50 guys leave. I had to just delete the whole page and start over from scratch. It's like unbelievable, the player movement up there. Now, this time around, at least there was no second transfer window, so the players that came in the door in December and January, at least you're getting them to kickoff. So, maybe a little bit of player retention in a way for a couple extra months than usual for Colorado. But that said, it was another top 25 transfer class. That marks 4 straight for Colorado. Maybe they were able to retain them this time around, but they have too many questions for me to be considered a contender. Both lines of scrimmage look, they're question marks for me. I don't see any reason to pick them higher than towards the bottom of the conference. I like the quarterback with Lewis. I think that he makes some good throws. Maybe some questionable coaching last year. You saw clips out of media day that they weren't even watching film. Unbelievable to think that in 2026 that was the case, but who knows? So they do have some talented players here and there across the roster, receiver, quarterback, but as a complete starting 22 and then a 2 deep 44, I just don't see it. So until proven otherwise, I've got them down towards the bottom of the conference.
There are multiple teams that went deep into the transfer portal. You've mentioned Oklahoma State, new coach, brings a lot of guys. Iowa State's got a new coach, bringing a lot of guys from Washington State. Rich Rod is going full Deion deep into the transfer portal for his second year on the job at West Virginia. You mentioned Colorado and ASU as well. Are there any teams beyond Texas Tech? Are there any teams that went in the transfer portal where you think there's no way to know, but I got to keep my eye on them because I think there's a pretty good chance this team has come up big in the portal?
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State, you got to start there. It's the team that most of the staff and the players were at North Texas last year and put up top 5 passing numbers, top 5 scoring numbers. You got an NFL quarterback with Drew Mestemaker and bringing everybody with him, bringing his all-conference running back, his receivers, his linemen, and, of course, the scheme that got them there with Eric Morris. And I talked to Coach Morris. I asked him about the transition up from the AAC to the Big 12, and he kind of chuckled and said, hey, I was born in the Big 12. He's got roots here. He's a Texas Tech alum and former coach, and his track record of building elite offenses is unmatched right now. Now we'll see how it translates up. But I love that offense a lot. I think it does translate 1-to-1. I think they're going to be a team that scores 30, 45 points a game. But can they stop anybody? So that's where I have my questions. Look for some old 2010s Big 12 shootouts there in Stillwater, again, like the old days. But, hey, I'll say this, most improved offense in America for sure. They were dead last. They're going to be one of the best this year and should be one of the most improved teams. 1-11, awful season last year. I think they make a bowl. So not a playoff contender, but certainly one of the most improved from 25 to 26.
All right, this bugs my radio partner, but I'm going to do it anyway. Since you're a Philly area guy, I'm born and raised in North Jersey. A lot of experience in South Jersey. So my Jersey shore of choice is Ocean City. What's yours?
Right next door, Sea Isle City, New Jersey. Yeah, love it. Ocean City, you got Mac and Manco's Pizza.
Oh,
you got the boardwalk.
Here we go.
Yeah, the Music Pier.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful town, great family town. You got the Wonderland over there. So, yeah, that's a classic Jersey boardwalk talk. I'm one town south of you in Sea Isle. We've got more of a restaurant, maybe a bar scene. No boardwalk, unfortunately. I'd love to get one like that. But, hey, South Jersey Shore, man, the best spot on earth.
I'm with you, Brett.
What is the food that's got the two different names depending on where you're from?
Pork roll or tailored ham?
Yeah. Look at him.
This is awesome. I didn't expect this on Utah radio.
Nobody does.
That's why he does it. That's why he does it. The number of times we've broken down pork roll, I just can't. I don't even have words for it. I went to college to do this.
It's pork roll in South Jersey, Taylor ham in North Jersey. How many times I got to tell you?
About 500,000.
My sister went to Glassboro, which has now been renamed Rowan, but
sure.
I've got my brother, my best man at my wedding, grew up in West Deptford, is in the West Deptford High School Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So I got those roots, and I researched who you are, and you really know your stuff. I got to give you credit. So pump your magazine again, because if it's anything like what you've been saying on the radio, it is certainly worth the time and effort and money to get it.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, well, it's called Pick Six Previews. It's available at pick6previews.com. We've got the digital copy, but also the hard copy this year, spiral bound. They're coming off the printing press, shipping them across the country. It's a one-man show. It's all me. I do all 68 Power 4 teams. Talking to head coaches, talking to coordinators, watching spring games. I've got my advanced numbers in the book, but putting it back into a readable format, the narrative, the X's and O's, really the storylines for the season. So, hey, a lot of transfer movement, all these teams. It's a good way to get caught up. Get excited for the season, bring it to the beach, the lake, the couch. But yeah, thanks guys for having me on, and maybe I'll send you a picture down from the shore this weekend.
Very nice.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, put it up on social media and tag us. This is for Utah. All right, Brett. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Beach tags. I'll never get that, man. Paying to go to the beach. I grew up in California. The beach is free. I don't get it.
It's worth it, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get it. I mean, I love the beach. I just had a chance to do a little beach time in Oregon, and the water's too cold and all that, but it still smells great and looks great and sounds great. And yeah.
Yeah, the Atlantic is never too cold. It's always funny when we get those guys from back there, and they on Utah of all places.
What? What? All right, reacting to what Brett just said, we will do that next. He dropped a few nuggets, confirmed some of what we thought, and also brings up some of the problems with these massive leagues, which apparently we're stuck with for the foreseeable future. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.